Call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063. 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063. 800-957-6063.
You're hot.
All right, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Gieber and Danny Page with you today.
Heyo.
And it is a Monday.
Today is Monday, Nick.
It is. I'm shocked. I had to think about that for a second. And as usual, we have a big Monday show for you in the wake of the thrilling FA Cup weekend. Really only one massive upset, maybe two, Danny. But we're going to talk a little bit about the FA Cup. What else are we talking about, Danny?
Well, we're talking obviously about Manchester United's meltdown, of course, in the FA Cup, which I love to talk about. We'll look at Theo Walcott's injury as well and the impact that's going to have on Arsenal. I think it's fortunate for them that it actually happened in January. Furthermore, we'll look at the life and impact of Eusebio, who passed away yesterday after a heart attack at 71. I know you guys are dear old friends, Nick, but very seriously, Eusebio was such an incredible Portuguese player, and we'll sort of look at his legacy and compare him with some other greats from the area. It's a great Monday show here tonight on World Soccer Radio.
All right, that is what we have on tap for you today. And, of course, we're also going to ask the big question about the FA Cup. We're going to ask if they should ditch the replays. Because
the replays are something else. There's a lot of controversy brewing over this, Nick, but I'm sure replays are something you remember so well growing up.
You know, they are. And I will say this. They maybe don't quite as mean as much to me as you might think, because surprisingly enough, the way replays used to be done will surprise you, Danny. You will be amazed.
Yeah, no, they used to keep them going and going and going without extra time
That's
and
right.
penalties, and I personally think it's time to get rid of that. So
All right,
I'll
well,
provide the My Little Pony opinion.
Well, why don't we do that? And speaking of My Little Ponies, we're going to ask you about this crisis at Old Trafford. We're going to find out what's up with all the My Little Pony United fans. How are they coping with this revelation that they are but mere mortals? Are they ready to jump off the bandwagon? All right, that's what we have in store for you today. Call in studio 800-878-PLAY. Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. That's at World Soccer Radio. Of course, you can also find us personally there, but I'm not going to put that one out. You'll have to find our Twitter handles. That's the game. But the show, it's World Soccer Radio. By the way, big hello to our men and women in uniform listening in American forces around the globe. What a privilege it is to speak to you, as well as if you're listening on one of the affiliate stations of the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio.com, or watching the live stream at WatchWSR.com. We love to be with you as we are each and every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this very same network. So you make sure to join us for the whole week, because we'll be here every week, just as we are 52 times out of the year. That is for the week. All right, Nick and Danny with you. Break time. We'll be right back after this.
Stressful things during the day can keep you awake at night. Instead of sleeping, your mind is still spinning from stress. Unisom is the help you need to fall asleep. Unisom sleep tabs are a clinically proven effective OTC sleep aid. You fall asleep 33% faster by easing into your natural sleep cycle. With Unisom, you wake refreshed and ready.
Here's your morning traffic report.
Unisom. A stressful day deserves a restful night.
Use as directed. Active ingredient oxylamine succinate versus control in a clinical study.
Ugh, cold winter weather. It makes my skin so dry, itchy, and irritated. Can I get some help, please, for this winter skin of mine?
Cortisone 10 Intensive Healing has the strongest non-prescription itch medicine available. Its 7 moisturizers help heal skin, so you'll stop itching and start feeling relief fast.
Ah, my skin feels like it's been on vacation, even with 10 inches of snow outside.
Itch-free, worry-free Cortisone 10. Use as directed.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
All right, welcome back to the show. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick Geber, Danny Page with you. And normally we'd be kicking off the Monday in a very up note. Very happy about the matches that are just behind us. Although these FA Cup weekends, Danny, they play havoc with me because I like that midweek football. I like the Monday Premier League game. You know me, Danny. I don't like interrupting my beloved Premier League for anything.
No, I understand, and I feel you in some ways when you don't have the same coordinated match schedule. There were some great ties. I really did enjoy the Arsenal-Tottenham match. That was as high energy as you'll get. But no, you're absolutely right. We do miss our Barclays Premier League when we have these interruptions.
In the meantime, though, some very sad news from the weekend. We lost one of the greats of football. We lost Eusebio da Silva Ferreira, better known as Eusebio, who passed away yesterday. And very, very sad. One of the true greats of football, Danny. He really was one of the true greats of football. Many people back in the day, 66 in the World Cup, of course, many people remember Pele and Eusebio. They were considered to be, for many, many years, sort of the two absolute best players on the planet. Of course, I know there are a lot of people that are new to football, these are some of the great players that you need to know about. And Eusebio was certainly one. He was Portuguese, but actually he was born in Mozambique, which was a Portuguese colony at the time. Everyone born there was, in fact, Portuguese. So he played for Benfica, and he played for, of course, the Portuguese national team. The 66 World Cup was sort of his breakthrough. Did win a European Championship with Portugal, went to a couple of finals, and was a legendary player for Benfica. And Danny, one of the things about great players, and we talk about this when we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi or Luis Suarez, is their goal-scoring rate. Between 1960 and 1975, now I know you weren't even around at that time, Danny.
Not at all.
I was. He played for Benfica, and he had 301 appearances, and he scored 317 goals. Now, what you have to keep in mind here is that Benfica were really a European powerhouse team at the time. Now we can sort of look at the Portuguese league, and it sort of has a lot less impact in terms of European football. Back in the day, the Portuguese league was considered one of the best in Europe. So this guy scoring more than one goal a game average over a 15-year period. I think that gives you an idea. Now, I have here his stats with the Portuguese national team. 64 caps, 41 goals. I mean, these numbers are absolutely insane. This guy is truly one of the greatest footballers ever to play the game. Of course, we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, another Portuguese player, but he is still living in Portugal in the shadow of this great man, Eusebio da Silva Ferreira. And, you know, Danny, he's one of a host of players that many of the newer fans to the game don't know about, and there are a number of them, great players that My Little Pony fans of the game maybe have never heard of. Alfredo Di Stefano, the great from Real Madrid. He was Argentine. He only managed to squeak out, I think, 6 caps for Argentina. It was a combination of being banned and of course, being injured at the time. Really hardly ever played any international football. George Weah, Abedi Pele from Ghana, one of the greatest African players ever, just like many people consider Eusebio, although there's a bit of a disagreement. Of course, Africa likes to claim Eusebio as one of their own, and Portugal like to claim him as one of their own. But in terms of African footballers, you're looking at George Weah, who was, of course, Liberian, Abedi Pele, who was Ghanaian. I mean, these are great players that a lot of new fans to the game don't know about. And Danny, you know, YouTube is a great resource for them to go and learn about some of these guys.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things that I ever did when I got into world football some years ago is I picked up the it's about 1,000 pages long, and it's a FIFA World Cup encyclopedia, basically. And it takes you through every tournament. I read the entire thing, and it sort of helped bring to life a lot of these players. I think the issue with understanding and following these type of players is that it's almost like, Nick, when you're dating a girl these days and you want to show her an old black and white movie. You know, you want to show her Casablanca, and she's in her 20s, and she cannot deal with watching Casablanca because it's not, we live in this very different high-definition society now, Nick, and it's hard to go back and watch these videos of someone like Eusebio with the way the games are played and to have a young individual that has the contemporary attention span of almost nothing really be able to identify. To me, the thing that I can identify with here is that this individual, did you see the reception for him lining the streets and in the Stadio de Luz for his memorial service? I mean, we're talking 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 fans at the Stadio de Luz singing to Eusebio, singing for him one final time. And you see what he really meant to so many in Portugal. I think it's so interesting what you mentioned about him Danny, being born in Mozambique as well.
Well, Danny, I want to address what you said about taking a girl to a black and white movie. Clearly, as you can see on the screen there, Danny, you need to date cougars, okay? Because if you're taking girls and they don't appreciate the beauty of black and white movies, maybe you need to get yourself a slightly more mature woman in your life, Danny.
A more refined.
Yes,
I
exactly.
Suppose. Nick, it was just an example.
No,
okay?
and it was a good one. By the way, it was a good example.
Oh,
I'm making light about it, but it was a good example. But
it is a
you
good
do
example.
need to date cougars, Danny.
That too. I think that a lot of those players, in the way that, all right, Nick, when I'm your age, okay, which
like
is 853,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
When people that grew up in this sort of high definition generation, when we get to be 70 years old, not that you're 70 years old, you're in your 40s, 50s, maybe 60s. When we are telling our grandchildren, right, about a Cristiano Ronaldo, we'll at least have high quality, high definition video to go to.
No, that's
true.
And
I feel like some of these stars will get lost on their era in some ways because I can't sit down and watch Pele right now and say that makes me think Pele was the greatest ever.
Well, I have to look at Diego Maradona, and I still consider him to be the best ever. For me, if I'm ranking players, Maradona is still on top. But I have to tell you, Messi very close behind. Same with Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's possible if he can continue to play the way he's doing, Luis Suarez will be mentioned in that same sort of level too. If he can if he can keep going, this is the key here. Hold on.
Here.
So we are in an era, Danny, of great players, and because of television and the way it is now, and the fact that everybody can see these matches, you're not going to be in those situations where, for example, most people here have never seen George Best play because most of the old footage they see was of World Cups, and George Best never played. I mean, how many people here, if it wasn't for TV now, would know about Gareth Bale because he plays for Wales? So I mean, you're never going to see him at the World Cup at that size stage. How about Ryan Giggs the same way? Ian Rush. These are all great Welsh players that will never grace the World Cup stage. The point here, Danny, you did it right. If you're new to the game or just getting into the game, go learn about some of the history because it's great. And I'm not saying, I'm not one of these old guys, Danny, that's saying you'll never make history the way it was. I'm actually saying there is history being made today with this incredible crop of new players coming through. But let's not forget the great past we come from.
Yeah, I do think that when you think about some of those players you mentioned, they weren't in that World Cup book that I read initially. I knew who George Weah was. Going back to the early 1990s, coming out of Liberia and not making a major tournament. We've heard of George Best, but if there was video of Man United playing in what was it, the late 60s, 70s of George Best, I would have no idea who he was. I'll be honest. And why would I? Why would I understand it and know who that is? And I do hope that this generation of footballers that was so incredible in the 60s and 70s doesn't become this sort of lost generation, if that makes any sense, Nick.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. Just got to keep an open mind and don't be happy with just what you know. Learn something. Get out there and learn a bit about the greats like Eusebio.
Okay, Professor.
And people like
Nick,
that. Yes, I am the
Professor
professor the doctor of football is in. But meanwhile, I do have to go out because it is break time. Nick Eber, Danny Page with you. You can find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. That's at World Soccer Radio. 800-878-PLAY in the studio. That's 800-878-PLAY if you've got a thought or a comment. Now's a great time to use the loo if you have to, because we're going to step aside for 3 minutes, and we'll be right back after then with more. We're going to ask about Man United fans. Where are you?
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have private insurance, we specialize in finding you the right treatment. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So if you have private insurance, take 5 minutes of your time. Call right now. I promise it'll change your life. 800-296-1325. 800-296-1325. 800-296-1325. That's 800-296-1325.
This family is at home, but they won't be answering the door. They know that the pounding on the door is a process server from the court waiting to hand them foreclosure documents. So instead of enjoying the home they worked so hard to afford, they sit hiding in the dark.
Mom, what was that?
But it doesn't have to be this way. This family can save their home, but they must act fast. Call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions at 800-274-7312. If you're being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, missed a payment on your mortgage, been a victim of a predatory loan, or are upside down on your home, it's critical that you call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions now. 800-274-7312. Allied State Foreclosure Solutions has an attorney in your area that will meet and speak with you. You can stop the foreclosure process, lower your monthly mortgage payments, save your home and your credit, but you must act now. Call 800-274-7312. 800-274-7312. Not available in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson.
Are you a business owner or an individual who owes the IRS? Then be prepared to write down an important phone number. Do you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes? Do you need to file back tax returns? Are you dealing with bank levies and wage garnishments? It's time to deal with your IRS problem today. Call Certified Tax Representation now. Certified Tax Representation, Inc., represents clients just like you in all 50 states. They will contact the IRS on your behalf the same day that you become a client, and you can become a client immediately. It's time for you to face your IRS problems. Think about how great you're going to feel when you're represented by a company who's an advocate for you, who knows the law, who also will contact the IRS the same day you become a client. Call today for your free, no-obligation consultation. Call now, 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064. Not all cases are typical, and some may not qualify. The consultation is free, and so is the call, so call right now. 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064.
All right, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio. 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. Those are the numbers that you will dial. Well, it's not really all numbers, is it? Play. I think that's 7529. 800-878-7529.
Those are letters, Nick. I'm not sure if you learned that.
No, play. Yeah, those are letters. But it's 800-878-7529 if you're driving along and would like to give us a call.
Jerry from Las Vegas on the line. Let's talk.
All right. And speaking of that, Danny, should we go to the phones where we do have a caller?
Absolutely.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, one of my alternate hometown. Jerry, you're on. Welcome. What you got to say?
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. I was listening to the comments you were making. I mean, your co-host. It means points where he made about the sort of contemporary generation as far as understanding, history. But I mean, you could apply that to a subject, really. I mean, Eusebio was before my time, but I saw a clip of him. I think it was in the documentary they made about Liverpool in the 1966 World Cup, and I think it was against North Korea, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he scored 4 goals against North Korea. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never seen a guy just totally take over. It was unbelievable, and surely now, if you've been watching it for years and years, is they're better athletes, and the ball moves around a lot quicker, but then again, it's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
Right? That's anyone could spot it. They don't have to be genius to work that out.
Yeah, sure.
But people like Eusebio, I mean, with that old ball like Bobby Charlton, you mentioned people like George Best, I mean, they could put their foot right there. I mean, and the statistics just speak for himself. I mean, Eusebio, Pella, these were great players, and for different reasons, and so just to, summarise, I mean, all the benefits that the players have now, and the attention of the game is, these people created that for many years, and you just like music's classical music. I mean, come on, certain players, good players now, but 10 years time, 12 years time, when their career ends, it's where are they now? And even though they have an opportunity to create another life from the TV, etc., it's like, oh, who's that? I forgot about him. But you don't forget about Pele. You don't forget about.
Yeah.
I mean, she mentioned George Best. That name for a reason. The guy was a genius. I thought, so that's the reality of life.
Hey, Jerry,
I think.
Jerry, let me ask you this. I grew up in that great era, as you've been certainly around it. When you look back at these great players, and I, of course, for me, the greatest player ever was Diego Armando Maradona. We can debate this till we're blue in the face, but they're certainly all. Yeah, they're all certainly cut from the same cloth. Do you think the athletes?
You've got to remember that hand of God.
The hand of God, of course, but we don't forget about the other goal that he scored. Probably the greatest World Cup goal, one of the greatest World Cup goals ever. Same
5
game. 5 minutes before. I mean, it's sort of overshadowed. But Jerry, let me ask you this: these great old football players. Do you think there certainly was a sort of a greater honesty about them? And I don't mean about their personal dealings. I mean as athletes. Do you think they were more honest athletes? They would get out there, they would play with a knock, they didn't do as much diving. I mean, was it a more honest era with perhaps more honest athletes, Jerry?
Undoubtedly. I mean, I think now it's... I'm a Spurs fan, and I'm living on the West Coast, so getting up early to watch these games. The acceptance of cheating, and then all the way the players, all flock around the referee, and I mean, but now you've got two linesmen who do nothing in a game. Who wants to be a ref? be quite honest about it. It's
Yeah.
always been a difficult job. It was if football, soccer, as they call it, been stuck in the dark, well, you know, it still is in a sense. Now, if ever technology needs to be used, is now, because some is cheating. I mean, it's counterintuitive to think otherwise, really.
Well,
right?
Jerry, I tell you what, Jerry, we have to move along, but I tell you, I agree with you.
Sure.
And in fact, we just had that discussion. I think on Friday we were talking about what is cheating and technology, and I was actually making the point.
No, you're right. And what you said is right. I mean,
Yeah.
the players were more honest. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's the sort of corporatisation. It's all results.
Yeah.
But, you know, just quickly, Manchester United, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, and best statue outside. It's there for a reason.
Yep.
So, and Wayne Rooney, can't forget him. Boy, it's classy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, you look at those great players, and you know, you want to talk about honesty, you want to talk about the heart and soul of Man United. I mean, don't think they will ever be eclipsed. Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for the call. We really appreciate it. Great to have
Thanks,
you with us
Jerry.
here on our guest line at 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. All right, Danny, so...
Nick, can I...
Yeah,
I'd like to respond to one thing
Sure.
he said. I think when a player like Eusebio passes away, or someone... in American sports as well. Every time, and I know he's obviously still alive, but let's say a Bill Russell type were to pass away, you know, the American sport landscape becomes a light and says, how would that individual compare with the athletes today? And it really is a completely moot point. It's rather ridiculous to do so. But there is one thing that I will say about world football, and the way that game compares with, let's say, American football. I think that there is an intangible class. I think there's an intangible quality that all the greats have that would translate to a different generation. And I don't know if the great American running backs or quarterbacks or point guards or, you know, first basemen, I don't know if they have that same true deep-rooted class and quality that makes a great footballer that might not make greatness in other sports.
Yeah, you know,
and I feel like those individuals, Pele would have had that in any generation, and Eusebio would have had it too.
Well, that's actually a great point you bring up, because I think a lot of people that haven't looked back at some of this old footage of some of these great games and some of these incredible pioneers of the game of modern game of football, you know, don't understand that it was really just as fast. It was maybe not quite as physical in some aspects. In other aspects, it was more physical. But I mean, they look at this, and the skill is out there, and you could slot that into any team today. I don't care whether you're talking about Pele or George Best or Maradona. I mean, the one difference about, say, Maradona, for example, if Maradona were playing today, he would be under a lot of pressure to dive all the time, every time he was in the box. But if you look at Maradona and some of his great goals, well, he's in the box and he's getting bumped and he's getting knocked, and he's got this wonderful low center of gravity and these massive thighs that power him forward. He's a small guy, you know, just kind of like a weeble. You know, he wobbles, but he don't fall down. And he had the ball at his feet, and he would move around and score the most incredible goals. I think, you know, some of the development of today's game has more to do with players, you know, getting touched and flopping down and going down in the box, trying to draw a penalty, which may or may not be the right call. But players, you know, of Maradona's era and prior, you know, tended to stay on their feet more to put the ball in the back of the net, and I think it was better football.
Surely, it was in some regards. Obviously, the change in the ball has something to do with it. You know,
by the way, I remember playing with those leather balls. They'd suck up the
moisture.
water. They'd suck. It was raining. They'd suck it up. And I played goalkeeper. You know, one of those things flies at you. You know, it hurts.
You know, I have a funny little anecdote in regards to comparing, let's say, that generation of Portuguese, Eusebio, with today's generation, Cristiano Ronaldo. I want to say it was, gosh, how long ago was that now? Probably about 4.5 years ago. It was June, I believe, 2009, going back, if that's correct. And I woke up to check my phone in the middle of the night. It's about 3 in the morning. And I had about 7 text messages, okay? And one text message... let me go through the first 5 first, which say, oh my gosh, can you believe it? Cristiano Ronaldo has just signed with Man United. Because, of course, it was announced in the morning, with Real Madrid. It was announced in the morning in Madrid, but overnight here. And I can't believe this, right? And then I have a text message from a friend who knows nothing about football, but knew plenty about going to Hollywood nightclubs. And his text is, man, you can't believe it. I'm sitting next to Cristiano Ronaldo at this club who's with Paris Hilton, and he just bought a, $10,000 bottle of champagne. Isn't that nuts? He has no idea that Ronaldo has just signed the biggest contract in world sport. He has no clue about that. But think about the way that this generation stars behave with the way that those did 50 years ago.
Well,
and it just is...
well, no, some of this, Danny, has to do more with the propagation of social media, because there's some great stories about George Best that would have made Cristiano Ronaldo blush.
True.
So I'm not...
And
Maradona,
sure. And Maradona back
and
in
the witch doctors
Napoli
and the
Coke den and
exactly.
all of that.
So, listen, we got to look back at the history of the game and appreciate the players what they were, but let's not make them angels, and let's not say that they were all choir boys, because they weren't. These were athletes pushing the edge of their game, but there wasn't Twitter.
I just don't see Pele at some club in Rio with Audrey Hepburn buying a bottle. Hepburn... Is that about the right age?
I sort of do, actually. That's the thing.
Really?
Pele was definitely quite the man. Maybe not quite the man about town that George Best was.
Well, I don't think anybody was that about town, except Diego.
Yeah, Maradona certainly was there too. All right, well, I tell you what, so much for this segment. But listen, it was great to hear from our caller from Las Vegas. We got to look back at these greats, and unfortunately, the passing of a great like Eusebio
that's what brings it up.
The good thing is we can look at this. To this sadness of this passing and look at and take the benefit of this as we get to look back, and maybe a few people will get on YouTube and look at some of these old segments and old footballers and appreciate them for what they were and just the absolute brilliance. All right, this is World Soccer Radio. Hope you're enjoying the show. Actually having a lot of fun today. Kind of got off track a little bit, but all good.
That's when all the best shows happen, Nick.
That's right. Nick Ebert, Danny Page with you. All right, it's at World Soccer Radio. That's our Twitter handle, at World Soccer Radio. You can always call us in studio at 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY, or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/World Soccer Radio. By the way, if you're listening on American Forces Radio, what a privilege it is to speak to our men and women in uniform. I know we're on Sports Byline, on all the affiliate stations, but there's something special about speaking to our servicemen and women every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It is really an honor to do so, and we hope one day you'll all be home and you won't have to be overseas anymore. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Don't go anywhere.
Quaker State and Walmart want to celebrate all you do-it-yourselfers. All you I can fix everything with a roll of duct tape. The I work hard for my money, so finding the best price shouldn't be another full-time job kind of people. Because when you want the job done right at the right price, you do it yourself. Trust the motor oil that's durable enough to have been tested in real-world driving conditions and still passed critical tests for brand new oil. So stop in at your local Walmart and pick up a 5-quart jug of conventional Quaker State motor oil today for only $14.47. Real, durable oil. See QuakerState.com for details.
Are you one of the 37 million Americans with student loan debt? If so, pay attention to this important announcement. Broadsword Student Advantage has free information on how you may be able to reduce your monthly payment, shorten your repayment term, or possibly have your remaining student loan balance completely forgiven. You heard correctly. You could potentially have your federal student loan completely forgiven, but you need to call now for free information to see if you qualify. Broadsword Student Advantage and Affordable Life Plans, a registered investment advisory firm, are working together to help you find a solution for your student loans. In one free call, you can discover how you may be able to cut your student loan payments, shorten your payment term, or have your loan forgiven. There is no cost or obligation for this money-saving information. Call now, 800-211-0448. That's 800-211-0448. Don't miss out. Call now, 800-211-0448. 800-211-0448. Or visit online at getforgiven.org.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Attention active duty National Guard, Reserve, and retired veterans. If your loved one was injured while serving our country anytime after October 2001, you may qualify for up to $100,000 in tax-free cash TSGLI benefits, even if the injury was not related to military service. Also, if you have been denied VA disability benefits for a service-related issue, we may be able to help. To find out if you have a claim, call 888-606-9650. That's 888-606-9650.
All right, welcome back to the show. World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline Network. Nick Ebert, Danny Page. Interesting discussion, Danny, about the passing of the great Eusebio and how different the world was back then. Of course, he was from Mozambique, as we mentioned, but he played for Portugal, considered by Africa to be one of their greatest ever footballers, considered by Portugal to be their greatest ever footballers. How times change. But let's move on. Speaking of how times change, and we have a number of topics to get to, but we should certainly start with this terrible injury to Theo Walcott, who tears his ACL, goes out with another injury again. I mean, poor old Arsene Wenger is put in a bad situation. On Friday, Danny, I was asking the question that, was it time for Wenger to push his chips all in and to gamble with a big signing or two to try to sort of take him over the top for the title, given the fact they're currently sitting top of the league and they're in pole position, shall we say, to win the title, although not the favorite, but certainly in pole position, a point or two at the top of the table. At the time, Danny, you said you didn't think Wenger was going to do anything, and I was saying that he was looking at a couple of signings. Diego Costa was certainly one, but actually I was suggesting...
I didn't say Wenger wasn't going to do anything. I just ruled out those suggestions.
Well, I mean, Dimitar Berbatov, $2.5 million. Diego Costa, $32 million with a release
Costa's
clause.
out. He's out. They want to keep that nucleus intact. They're going to keep Koke. They think they can win Liga BBVA, which, let's give it the proper banking name now. They think they can win the Spanish league.
Yeah.
And Atletico Madrid, they're not selling anyone. Giuseppe Rossi is now out for 3+ months.
Hold on. Yeah, Giuseppe Rossi has a knee injury as well, so it's not helpful. But you say that, but the fact is Diego Costa has a release clause. So whether they want to sell him or not, they have to sell him if a bid of $32 million or greater comes in. That's the way it is, provided he wants to go and will agree personal terms. So whether they want to sell him or not really has no bearing here. The question becomes, this is going to test the mettle of Arsene Wenger, because now he has to spend, and frankly, Danny, I think he's going to have to seek therapy afterwards, because he absolutely hates being in this situation.
Yeah, he does hate being in this situation, but isn't being in this situation a crucial part of being a winning manager?
Absolutely.
These are the decisions you have to make. In this managerial structure, you have to not only be a shrewd businessman, but the type that when you're pushed to spend, you must spend. To me, maybe the biggest thing I'm drawing from this, Nick, is just your heart going out to Theo Walcott. Didn't you think just the way things, conspire against England over time, didn't you think that the moment that Sven called Walcott to the 2006 World Cup and said, we want to teach this future great England youngster about what the World Cup is like?
Sat him on the bench, right?
The moment he did that, didn't you think, oh boy, this kid is doomed for his career?
I'm not even that concerned about the England situation. I mean, look, England's problem is they don't have all that much depth, and that's always been their problem, and that will continue to be their problem. England will never win the World Cup in my lifetime, so I'm not expecting it. But Arsenal have a real shot at winning the title, much better shot at winning the title than England do in winning the World Cup. I know Theo has to be devastated by this, and he's a young man, and I personally feel terrible for him. But the interesting thing now, from a sort of neutral standpoint, is to watch what Arsene Wenger does, Danny, because he hates being in these positions. Arsene Wenger is not a man that likes the big January signings. We know, in fact, Arsene Wenger isn't a man that likes the big signings, really, period. He prefers to find the players that he can nurture and develop and bring along and make into those great players. A great example, for example, Thierry Henry, who he moved positions to bring out the best in him. But, those days are gone. Wenger's going to have to spend. He's going to have to push his chips. He's going to have to gamble. Whether it's Diego Costa for $32 million, may well be.
It's not going to happen.
I certainly think
Atletico Madrid will not release him.
They have to. He has a release clause. It's not their choice to release him.
But the player has to want to leave.
He does.
And he will not want to leave. In England, we cook up this idea that there is no better place to play in the world than Arsenal. Well, that's just not how it is. Your team is challenging for a league championship. You're cup tied, but you finally get to play in the knockout round in the Champions League.
You know what?
Diego Costa is not going anywhere.
Maybe he should get
tired of hearing it.
Maybe they should go get Robin van Persie back. Maybe he wants to play for a legendary manager now, because there certainly isn't one at Old Trafford anymore. Maybe that's the play. But look at Arsenal right now. Vermaelen's injured. Walcott, Giroud, Bentner, Gibbs, Ramsey, Sonogo, Oxes, Diaby. These are all massive injuries to them, and they're still top of the table. This is now decision time, and forget who they bring in, Danny, or how much, or whatever. The interesting play here is to watch Arsene Wenger, because this is decision time for Wenger. Does he say, we're going to do the best we can, we're going to scrap the best we can with what we got, or am I prepared to bring in one or two marquee signings in the worst time of the year to do it, in the January window? I think he almost
You love this. You're just excited to see his reaction.
Yeah. I think he's going to say, well, I hate this, but I have to do it.
Here was the other.
By the way, I don't know how Wenger sounds like Maurice Chevalier, but he did. Yeah.
My other impression on the whole Dimitar Berbatov signing was that that's a signing that doesn't need to be done on January 31st. That was one that the phone calls and the negotiations needed to open on January 1st. Post-match, they needed to make sure Berbatov was held out of the cup tie, and he needed to be ready for Arsenal this weekend. And Wenger was just never going to do that. He was never going to jump on his horse and say, all right, let's get proactive and let's go spend some money.
Watch out. And don't write off the Berbatov deal yet. It could still very well happen.
I'm just saying it'll happen too late for their own good, even if they're interested in making
the
cup run.
The cup run's not what this is about. This is about the Premier League run.
Well, trust me, if they're still in the FA Cup in 2 months, it will be about the cup run, because they're going to be about 5 points back in the Barclays Premier League.
Well, let's move along and talk about another situation that we've been talking about a lot, and we'll continue to talk about, by the way. Let's talk about the crisis at Man United. And we're going to be talking some more about this. And I'm trying to be neutral about this as much as I can without the gloating. Because we do have, there are some really good fans out there of Man United that have been following the team for a long, long time here in the States.
I'm almost with them now.
But you know, there are many My Little Pony fans, bandwagon fans, that have jumped up here onto the Man United bandwagon, because as long as they've been watching football, which is about 3.5 days, they haven't known another team that will win on a regular basis. By the way, I had the same thing with Chelsea. When Mourinho came in and they had the back-to-back titles, the amount of people I saw wearing Chelsea blue and walking up and down and talking about Chelsea this and Chelsea that, like they really knew who Chelsea were. You know, you tell them, hey, listen, just a few years ago, Chelsea was a day away from bankruptcy when Ken Bates owned it, and they stunk all their money into Chelsea Village. They'll look at you and say, what are you talking about? It's Mourinho, it's Abramovich, we got all this money. They just don't know. We have a lot of United fans like that here that have come to United because they win so much. This is going to be a real test of this. Real fans of Man United who've been following this team for a long time will not be happy with the predicament, but will not overreact to it. But the fact of the matter is, what we are seeing is that Man United are just mere mortals like the rest of us.
I don't know if they were not mortals prior. I think still the issue for me is something you've brought up, and that's just that Ferguson is right there watching every match.
Yeah,
what is he doing?
It's a problem.
He has a lot of nerve. Here's what I think personally. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year, Moyes is sacked and Fergie's back in.
Well, you know, we're going to have Nick Webster on this week.
At least for a year or so.
Right, Danny, we're having Nick Webster on this week. I don't know if it's tomorrow or Wednesday.
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow. Actually, Nick wrote a great article about this at realfootytalk.com. We're going to talk to Nick about it.
Was that the gist of his article?
That was the gist of his article, and then he said that it was not really a reality. Look, that's not a reality.
I disagree. I think it is a reality.
I do think that Fergie has to back out I also think that, we have to look at this situation with David Moyes, and we'll discuss this in detail with Nick Webster probably tomorrow. So I don't want to kind of spoil it, because really
Fair
I want to
enough.
discuss what an absolute crisis this has been for all these new Man United fans here, particularly in the United States, that are just coming to the Premier League over the last few years.
Well, what it goes back to, Nick, why are they in this crisis, okay? And that's because they do not have a good football team. They've believed in these twins at the fullback positions for years, and they've played some nice matches, but another dreadful, this is the second time he's been sent off as a substitute.
I can't believe it's not Butter, Fabio.
And then you're looking at Darren Fletcher in the midfield, who's having to track back and try and defend Wayne Routledge, and Routledge puts that easy cross into Boney. It's 2-1 in front of a half-full Old Trafford. Everything is... They just don't have a good football team.
Look, United fans, if you're new to United, I'm not a United fan. I'm, in fact, the opposite of it. I cannot stand Man United. I do have a lot of respect for the team.
You're
though.
a City fan?
No, I'm a Liverpool fan, of course. But I have a lot of respect for Man United, as much as I dislike this team. This is not so much that it's not a great team. It's not a great team. But, what was going on at Man United was exactly that, Danny. It was a team, and Alex Ferguson and his backroom staff were a big part of the team. So, we talk about how just changing managers is just changing the guy at the helm. It's not. It's the system. Apparently, the players don't like David Moyes' training system. It's short, sharp, intense training. And they don't like it. They're not used to it. This hasn't been what they've been doing. A lot of people are saying that's one of the reasons that Van Persie's come up injured again. Look, I don't know. And I'm not going to lay the blame at anyone's feet. It's just a natural evolution of things. Nick Webster in his article wrote a great thing. He said, first it was the Babylonian Empire, and then it was the Greeks, and then it was the Romans, and then it was, onwards and upwards. Each empire has its moment, but at some point there is always a shift. There's always a change. And really, that's where we are. I mean, we have other teams that are coming up. Man United's not going to go away. They're going to be around. They're going to improve. But are they going to be the dominant team in the Premier League going forward? No, it's going to be a bunch of teams that are going to be much more competitive at the top strata of the Premier League than Man United were. Their time has come. They've used the goodwill. They've used the financial edge they've had. They used all of that, the wonderful players that came through their system early on. They've all been used up now and gone and retired. And so now Man United are just mere mortals like the rest of us. They've got to go into the transfer market and get players just like everybody else does.
But doesn't it seem like a massive, massive amount of players that they need? What a huge task they have in front of them. They're poor in midfield.
They are.
They are getting older up front. The winger, I actually think
there is no golden generation here, Danny.
Yeah,
this is the
true.
thing. Ferguson.
Their back line is atrocious.
Right. Ferguson came into this team, took over the team, developed them, got them through the first few years, won a title, and then had this wonderful golden generation come up through the team that really were his bulwark, really were his the metal, the glue that held that team together with Ferguson was this group of players that came up young together through the system. Mm-hmm. And then he sprinkled them liberally with other great players on top of them, but they were always the base. And that is gone. There is no more golden generation. There isn't a new batch of young players that can replicate what the Beckhams and Giggs and Scholes of the world do. The Neville sisters. They're just not there anymore. We cannot underestimate how important those players, that core of players, were to Man United's success over the years, as recently as last year.
It's not that. It's that there is no core. Let's think about it this way, right? Let's take Wayne Rooney out of the discussion. Where is the heart? And I know Ryan Giggs is such an emotional, important player, but where is the center?
When he's not shagging his brother's wife.
But where is the center of that Man United team?
Michael Carrick?
Right? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
By the way, he's a great player, but I mean, he's not that sort of player.
Ferdinand and Carrick
Ferdinand's close to retiring, right?
As being part of a group that they imagine can compete for a title? Are you crazy? No one's afraid of going to Old Trafford anymore. They will not finish in the top four. I think the best for them is a League Cup win. Really, right. I just don't think they cut it in the top four.
And United fans, stick with it. You want to be a fan, you pick a team. You got to stay with them. Thick and thin. New
We'll stick around.
bandwagoners, stick with your team. Don't come over to Liverpool. We don't want you. All right.
I'm a huge bandwagon Seahawks
I know.
fan.
All right, Nikki, but Danny Page with you. World Soccer Radio Sports Byline USA, 800-878-PLAY. When we come back, we're going to have to wrap it all up. We do have just a couple minutes. Let's talk about the FA Cup and replays and kind of the funny situation that came around that whole discussion, a la Michael Laudrup. All right, we'll be right back after this on World Soccer Radio.
Kick a little something for the G's and make a few wins as I breeze through 2 in the morning.
When you struggle with credit card bills every month, you're not just in debt. Debt is all around you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly payment that you can afford.
You do get to consolidate your payments. You only have to worry about making one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4 or 5.
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063. 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063. 800-957-6063.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
My joints used to kill me. I'd wake up with stiff knees and a stiff back, and it wouldn't get much better throughout the day. I went to doctors and took almost every supplement you can think of, and nothing seemed to help. Then I found something called Oil Can Joint Lubricant. They use only top-of-the-line, all-natural ingredients, and I know many companies make similar claims, but here's the big difference. Oil Can ingredients are scientifically formulated to work together faster than anything else in the marketplace. That's guaranteed. I take Oil Can every day. My knee pain was gone in just a few days. So if you have knee pain, back pain, and you've tried everything, try Oil Can Joint Lubricant risk-free right now. I'm confident you'll have fewer aches and pains within days, or we will gladly refund your money. Call right now. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795.
All right, welcome back to the show. Just a couple of minutes to wrap it up. By the way, Danny, we have to give a shout-out to Zombie Plague. Wants to greet all his fellow Man United fans in the 805. Now, Danny, you're in the 805, but you're not a Man United fan.
In the 805, wow, we got a local. I'm gonna have to get together with this guy at Zombie Plague. We're gonna have to go, or it's at some, I don't know. The name's Zombie Plague. We're gonna have to go down to the press room, my friend, which is Santa Barbara's finest soccer home. We're gonna have to watch some matches. Hit me up, man.
All right, Danny, before we wrap it up, let's very quickly, Michael Laudrup came out before the big match at Old Trafford in the FA Cup and was bemoaning the FA Cup replay situation where, of course, if you don't win the match or if it's a draw, you have to play another match.
Right. But you remember when they used to have like 4 replays.
Yeah, you go on and
crazy.
on and on. So the funny thing about it is, of course, Laudrup was saying this prior to going to Old Trafford with the kind of idea that maybe the best he was going to get was a replay. I don't think he expected to win. But either way, Danny,
he didn't expect to win.
Time to ditch it, I say.
Yeah, time to get rid of the replays, and I think they can do it ahead of next year. These matches ending in 120 minutes, it's the way to go, Nick. Way to go.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed the show. We always enjoy bringing it to you. Nick and Danny will be back on with you tomorrow. Here's a little programming note. Tomorrow we got Nick Webster, who wrote a great article about the situation at United. We'll continue the discussion with Nick tomorrow. And then that is Wednesday. We're going to have Kartik Krishnaiyer on. We're going to talk about the Copa America coming here to the United States.
Great news.
Great news. I am excited about that. So we do have a lot to talk about. Hopefully you will stay with us Monday through Friday, the entire week, and week after that, right here on the Sports Byline USA Network, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're with you Monday through Friday. All right, in the meantime, we do have some really, speaking of legendary players, we have legendary broadcasters here, Danny.
Of course. Ron Barr up next.
That's right. Ron Barr up next, right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Hope you enjoy that show, and you be sure to rejoin us tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Cheers.
Good night, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, bud.